Let's get real. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you've felt it before. That sinking feeling when the man you care about starts pulling away. The messages slow down, the effort fades, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? Why am I always just the backup plan, the afterthought, never the priority? Here's the brutal truth no one tells you. Men don't treat you like an option because of who you are. They treat you like an option because of what you accept. Pause for a second and really think about that. Every time you settle for breadcrumbs, every time you shrink yourself to fit his life, every time you wait for him to choose you, you're silently telling him, it's okay to put me last. And the more you do that, the less he sees your true value. But let me be clear, this is not your fault. It's what we've been taught. Be nice, be patient, give him space, and eventually he'll see your worth. Except he doesn't. Because the woman who's always waiting, always available, always giving, she becomes invisible. In this video, I'm not here to give you tired advice or tell you to play games. I'm here to help you rewrite the rules, to help you stop waiting and start owning your place as a priority. Because when you shift your energy, when you choose you, the right man will have no choice but to do the same. Stay with me. What you're about to hear will change the way you show up in love forever. Most women don't realize it, but the reason they're treated like an option isn't because they aren't enough. It's because of quiet patterns, silent mistakes that slowly lower their value in a man's eyes. These mistakes aren't loud. They don't look like begging or chasing on the surface. They're the small things you do, often out of love, that send the wrong message without you even knowing it. The first silent mistake is being too available. Every time you drop everything to see him, answer his calls instantly, or adjust your plans just to fit into his world, you think you're showing how much you care. But what you're really doing is teaching him that your time isn't valuable. He starts to believe he doesn't need to work for your attention because it's already his on demand. When a man feels this, the spark starts to fade. He stops seeing you as a rare treasure and starts seeing you as a convenience. Another silent mistake is giving too much too soon. It's natural to want to give your heart, your energy, your effort. But when you give without limit, without him earning it, you create an imbalance. He doesn't feel the need to invest because you're already doing the work for both of you. And here's the hard truth. People value what they work for. If he's not working to earn your heart, he won't value it the same way. Seeking his approval is another subtle mistake that lowers your value. When you look to him for validation, when you wait for his compliments to feel beautiful, or his text to feel wanted, you hand over your power. A man can sense when a woman is depending on him to feel good about herself, and instead of pulling him closer, it pushes him away. Confidence is magnetic. Neediness, even silent neediness, quietly repels. One more mistake that often goes unnoticed is tolerating disrespect. It starts small. Maybe he cancels plans at the last minute, and you let it slide. Maybe he goes days without checking in, and when he finally does, you welcome him like nothing happened. The more you accept, the more he pushes the line. And the more he pushes, the less he respects you. A man learns how to treat you by what you allow. But here's the powerful part. Once you see these patterns, you can change them. These mistakes don't define you. They're habits. And habits can be broken. The moment you choose to value your time, your energy, your heart, you force him to do the same. Because a woman who values herself isn't an option. She's a priority. And the right man will rise to meet her standard. High-value women don't just act differently. They think differently. And it's this mindset that sets them apart, that makes a man see them as unforgettable, irreplaceable, and worthy of being a priority. The difference starts within, long before a man even enters the picture. A high-value woman doesn't chase love or beg for attention. She understands that love isn't something you force or earn through overgiving. Instead, she sees herself as the prize. She believes deeply that the right man will recognize her worth. And if he doesn't, she doesn't try to convince him. She moves on. That quiet confidence is what draws the right man in. Because when a woman respects herself, a man has no choice but to respect her too. She also thinks differently about time and energy. A high-value woman protects both like treasure. She doesn't give endless chances to people who drain her. She doesn't rearrange her world for someone who hasn't shown effort. She knows that when you make yourself too easy to access, people stop valuing your presence. So she stays grounded in her own purpose, her own joy, her own life, and invites a man to add to that, not become her entire focus. Another key difference in how high-value women think is that they don't let fear control them. They're not afraid of losing a man who isn't treating them right. They're not afraid to walk away from situations that feel wrong. They know their peace is more valuable than any relationship that costs them their dignity. And that makes them powerful. A man senses when a woman isn't afraid to choose herself, and that's what makes him step up or step out. High-value women also think in terms of standards, not desperation. They don't accept crumbs hoping the situation will change. They don't confuse potential with reality. If a man says one thing and does another, she listens to his actions, not his promises. She's not blinded by hope, she's clear-eyed about what's real. That clarity keeps her from wasting time on men who aren't ready or worthy. What truly sets high-value women apart is this: they know they're complete already. A man can enhance their life, but he can't define it. They don't need someone to make them feel beautiful, wanted, or whole. They've done the inner work. And that energy, that wholeness, is what makes them magnetic. Because the right man isn't looking for someone to fix. He's looking for someone to cherish. When you start thinking like a high-value woman, everything changes. The way you carry yourself, the way men see you, the way love shows up in your life. And it all starts with the thoughts you choose to believe about yourself. The moment you set a clear boundary, something powerful happens. A man's perception of you changes instantly. Suddenly, you're no longer the woman he can take for granted. You become the woman he has to rise to meet. And the truth is, boundaries aren't about pushing someone away. They're about teaching people how to value you, how to treat you, and how to stay in your life with respect. A boundary isn't a rule you throw in his face. It's not an argument. It's the quiet, confident line that says, this is who I am, and this is what I allow. And when a woman stands in that energy, a man notices, because deep down, men crave that clarity. They respect the woman who knows what she will and won't take. One boundary that shifts his perception fast is the boundary around your time. When you stop being endlessly available, when you stop dropping everything just because he calls, he starts to see your time as valuable. And guess what? He treats it that way. When a man knows he has to earn your time, his effort increases, his attention sharpens, because you're no longer just an option, you're someone he wants to win. Another boundary that changes everything is the boundary around communication. When you calmly express what you need, whether that's respect, honesty, consistency, and you stick to it, he starts to see you differently. You're not just hoping he'll figure it out. You're showing him through your words and actions what it means to be in your life. And if he can't meet that standard, the high-value woman doesn't beg, she steps back, and that space forces him to reflect on what he's risking. Emotional boundaries are just as powerful. When you stop over-explaining yourself, when you stop trying to convince him of your worth, when you stop chasing his validation, you shift the dynamic. You're no longer giving him the power to define your value. You're showing him, I know who I am. You can choose to see it or not. And that energy, it's irresistible. What makes boundaries so impactful is this: they aren't about controlling him. They're about controlling what you allow. And that shift, from trying to manage his behavior to managing your own standards, is what makes a man stop and think. Because a woman with boundaries stands out. In a world full of women trying to please, trying to prove, trying to earn love, she's the one who commands it. When you set boundaries with grace and firmness, you don't just change how he sees you, you change how you see yourself. And that's where real power begins. Becoming a man's priority isn't about playing games, changing who you are, or trying to manipulate him. It's about understanding the deep psychology that makes a man want to prioritize you. Because the truth is, men naturally invest in what they respect. And respect begins with how you see yourself, how you show up, and what you're willing to accept. At the core of becoming a priority is certainty in your value. A woman who knows she's worthy of love, attention, and effort carries herself differently. She doesn't need to demand to be chosen. She expects it through her actions, her energy, and her standards. Men are drawn to this certainty because it creates a challenge, a sense that winning her heart means something. And when a man senses that he can't just coast or get by with minimum effort, he steps up or he steps aside. Either way, you win. Another part of the psychology is emotional control. When you stay calm, collected, and confident, even when he tests your limits, you communicate something powerful. I don't fear losing you, because I never lose myself. That steadiness makes him see you as different. Where others may become reactive, desperate, or clingy, you remain composed. And that emotional strength draws him closer, because it signals that you're not dependent on him for your happiness. you're inviting him to add to it. A key psychological shift is also in how you handle space and time apart. A woman who becomes a man's priority knows the power of healthy distance. She doesn't rush in to fill every silence or fix every gap. She lets him miss her. She understands that absence, when handled with confidence, fuels desire. Instead of chasing him down when he pulls back, she leans into her own life. And that space allows him to feel what it's like without her. And that's when he realizes what he risks losing. Equally important is the psychology of consistency in standards. High-value women don't send mixed signals. They don't one day set a boundary and the next day abandon it just to keep a man happy. When you're consistent in how you expect to be treated, you teach him that your value is non-negotiable. That's what turns you from an option into a priority. The knowledge that if he doesn't step up, someone else will, and you'll be just fine either way. At the heart of it, the psychology of becoming a priority is simple. You become the prize in your own mind first. And when you do, the right man will move mountains to keep you.
If you want a man to chase you, it starts with your energy, not your looks, not your words, not how much you do for him, but the invisible force he feels when he's around you. Energy speaks louder than anything else. And the moment you shift your energy, the entire dynamic changes. He starts to see you differently. He starts to feel that pull, that desire to be closer, that need to pursue you, not because you're asking, but because your energy invites it. The first shift is moving from seeking to choosing. Many women fall into the trap of seeking a man's attention, approval, or love. But the moment you stop seeking and start choosing where you give your time, choosing who gets access to your heart, you create an energy of confidence and control. You stop waiting for him to choose you, and instead you send the signal that you are doing the choosing, and that makes him want to earn his place in your life. Another powerful shift is from attachment to abundance. When you radiate the energy that you're complete on your own, that your happiness, peace, and purpose don't depend on him. He feels it. Men are drawn to women who have full, rich lives because there's something magnetic about a woman who is happy with or without him. When you show that your world is already beautiful and that he's invited to enhance it, not define it, he'll work harder to be part of it. Then there's the shift from over-giving to receiving. When your energy says, I deserve to receive effort, respect, and care, you stop doing the heavy lifting in the connection. You let him come to you. You let him plan, initiate, and show up. And the beautiful thing is, when you stop over-giving, you give him space to give. That space creates the chase, because men value what they have to invest in. Lastly, shift from fear to faith. Fear makes you cling. Fear makes you settle. But faith in your value, faith in the process, faith that the right man will rise, that changes everything. That energy of trust makes you calm, centered, and irresistible. Because the truth is, the woman who believes she's worthy of being chased always is. When you shift your energy in these ways, you don't have to beg, chase, or convince. He will feel it, and he'll come closer. Not because you forced it, but because your energy gave him no other choice.
The truth is, you don't need to beg for attention to be irresistible. In fact, the moment you start trying to convince a man of your worth, you start losing your power. Staying irresistible isn't about doing more for him, it's about doing more for you. It's about showing up in a way that naturally draws the right man closer without a single ounce of chasing. One of the most powerful tips is to stop over-explaining. A woman who knows her worth doesn't need to justify her boundaries, her choices, or her standards. She says what she means, she sets the tone, and she lets her actions speak. When you stop explaining yourself to earn his understanding or approval, you create mystery and strength. A man respects what he doesn't feel entitled to. And when he sees that you stand firm without needing to convince him, it makes you magnetic. Another key tip is to master the art of the pause. When he pulls back, don't rush to close the gap. Let him feel the distance. Let him realize what it feels like to not have your energy so close, so easily available. That space is where desire is born. A man can't miss what never leaves, so give him something to miss. That doesn't mean playing hard to get. It means genuinely focusing on your own life, your growth, your joy. When you do, you naturally become more irresistible, because you radiate self-sufficiency and inner peace. Stay unpredictable. Not by playing games, but by living fully. When your world doesn't revolve around him, when you have passions, plans, and purpose that light you up, you become endlessly interesting. A man wants to be part of a woman's vibrant, ever-evolving life. When you're consistent in your self-love but dynamic in your journey, he'll want to keep up. He'll want to know what's next, where you're headed, how he can be part of your story. And finally, don't be afraid to walk away when respect is missing. The most irresistible women are the ones who know they don't need to stay where they aren't valued. That quiet confidence, the ability to choose yourself over attention, over temporary affection, is what makes a man realize your true worth. Because here's the secret: a man chases what he fears losing, and he fears losing a woman who clearly values herself. In the end, staying irresistible without begging for attention comes down to this: hold your head high, trust your worth, and let your energy do the work. The right man will see it, and he'll chase it, not because you asked him to, but because he knows he'd be a fool not to. In the end, everything comes down to one powerful choice. Choose yourself first. Not because you're selfish, not because you don't care about love or connection, but because when you choose yourself first, you set the tone for how the world, and especially a man, will choose you. Choosing yourself first means you stop waiting to be picked. You stop hoping that someone will see your worth and finally give you what you deserve. Instead, you recognize that you are the one who decides your value. You are the one who sets the standard. And when you stand in that truth, the right people align with you, not because you chased them, but because your energy spoke louder than words. A woman who chooses herself doesn't stay in places where she feels small. She doesn't cling to a man who makes her an option. She doesn't sacrifice her peace just to say she has someone, because she knows her peace, her joy, her growth. Those are non-negotiable. And the man who deserves her is the one who respects that. Choosing yourself first means you stop bending your boundaries just to keep someone interested. You stop silencing your voice out of fear he might walk away. You stop shrinking your dreams, your light, your magic, just to fit into someone else's story. Because the right man will want you exactly as you are. And the wrong one can leave, and you'll still be whole. It means you give yourself what you've been looking for in others: love, respect, attention, care. You become your own source of validation. You stop seeking from a man what you've already given to yourself. And that's the secret that makes you irresistible. Because the woman who needs nothing from a man but companionship is the woman he'll work hardest to keep. This isn't about being hard or cold. It's about being clear. Clear that you deserve to be loved without condition. Clear that you won't beg to be chosen. Clear that you are enough, right now as you are. So as we close this video, remember, you don't have to chase love. You don't have to prove your worth. The moment you choose yourself first, you step into the energy that attracts the kind of love you've always wanted. The kind that sees you, honors you, and makes you a priority. Because you made yourself one first. Stay strong, stay true, and never forget, the most powerful love starts with the love you give to yourself.